Okay, in today's video we're going to have a look at the high resolution shot mode feature on Panasonic Lumix cameras and what it is, what it does, how you can use it, and I'll show a few examples of kind of the different modes and how they work. And in this video I'm using the Panasonic GH6, but this feature is available in a lot of modern Lumix cameras like the newer G line cameras, GH line, and most of the S-line cameras as well have high resolution shot mode. Some of the numbers and things are slightly different across the cameras due to different sensor sizes, but for the most part this will be applicable to all cameras. So the sort of base of what it does on the GH6, it takes 8 different images and it merges them together to create a high resolution photo. And to do that, it's doing slight kind of sensor shifting, and it's using the internal stabilization to kind of create that image, and then it all gets merged inside the camera. So the first thing we'll do is look at how you can actually switch on the feature. So the feature is available in all of the photo modes on the top of the camera, except on my one you can't use it in the IA mode, the intelligent auto one. So I'm just in the manual mode, and then on the left dial you'll want to switch into this one here that's between the burst modes and the sort of time-lapse modes. It's kind of a stack of images with some dots on it, and that is the high resolution photo option there. So you just want to make sure you're on that, and like I say, make sure you're not in the intelligent auto mode because it won't work in that either. And then we'll switch the camera on, go into the menu, and under the photo menu, just on the first page, you'll see high resolution mode settings. So it's under image quality 1, and then we'll come down to that, and you can kind of see we've got all these options here. So the first one, we've got handheld high res, and essentially handheld high res is exactly what it says. You can use the high resolution shot mode feature without a tripod, which is a really nice option to be able to do that, and that is what I've done on quite a lot of these shots. So I'll kind of show you some where I have and haven't used it, but the option is there. And then you've got things like picture quality. So combined, we'll actually just use the settings that you've got up in the picture quality option there. So you can see it's grayed out because we're on high resolution shot, but mine is set to raw and fine. So if I kept it to that, it would be set to that. So the picture quality, I've got it set anywhere as raw and fine in here, but you can kind of set that to just fine or just raw. So fine's just we can go down the side. So combined, like I say, it uses what you already use for photos. Fine is just going to capture a JPEG for you. Raw and fine will capture a JPEG and a RAW at the same time, and RAW is obviously just going to capture a RAW image. You won't get a JPEG out of that. So I like to keep that on raw and fine, and then you've got the most control over it. You've got a straight out of camera image, and you've got one that you could work on in post after. And then we've got picture size, and we can go with either, on this camera we can go either XL or the LL version, so a kind of large version or an extra large version, and the extra large version on mine is 89 megapixels, and the large version is 44.5 megapixels. So you've got essentially nearly 4 times the size of the sensor there, or twice the kind of size that you can normally choose. So they're pretty big files. You can see here it's set as 3:2 on mine, and it gives you the resolutions. And not to forget, if you shoot RAW, I've done a video about this, but if you shoot RAW, essentially you're always going to get the full sensor readout of the image anyway. So whatever aspect ratio you shoot, you'll still actually be able to edit back from the full size of the sensor. So there's there's that to kind of consider as well. On here you've got simul record normal shot, and that's basically will simultaneously take just a normal shot as well as a high resolution shot. So you'll get a low res version, or not low res, like the standard readout size, and then a high resolution one as well. The shutter delay is useful, so you press the shutter, you're nudging the camera, you don't want it to start firing off shots whilst you're touching it because it's going to introduce shake. So you press it, it gives you 2 seconds, you can walk away and kind of do it. In the high res with handheld on, I would switch that off because you can kind of steady yourself for it if you've got it on, but I prefer to just switch that off, to be honest. And then with the motion blur processing, you'll only have the option for this on the tripod version of it, so not in handheld. So mode 1 will essentially capture some motion into the image, and I'll show an image of that now. I'll just bring it up on top, and then you can kind of see, so this is an image of like the beach, and you can see the sort of the water's moving as opposed to being a freeze frame. And then if we were to flick into mode 2, you can see it just kind of captures it, so everything's standstill. And to be honest, this actual mode is probably best suited to things that aren't really moving. It's good for landscapes. It's good for product photography. Anything really that's not moving that you've kind of got a little bit of control over. It's quite good, and I've actually used it for some other stuff as well. I'll show you some shots that I've got. So, and again, you can turn on the handheld high res, and then you can see here we've lost just the motion processing on there. So we can't do that on handheld high res because it's just you can't hold it still enough for that to look good in the shot. So it's just not an option in there basically. And like I say, all the other ones still apply. And then you'll find if we just hold the shutter and shoot, so you can hear it go. And I moved it intentionally when we shot then, and you can see it failed to create the high resolution image. And then if you actually hold it still, it's not going to be particularly good because it's all completely underexposed. But you can see on that one, it's actually creating the image. And we'll jump over to the computer now and I'll show you a couple of images on there. So you can see that's just going to create that in the camera. Right, and then over here you can see we've got, this is the original image, and we've got this one as well. So both simultaneously shot, and they look exactly the same at the moment. And then when we start to zoom in, so if we zoom into around the kind of nose, and I'll do the same on this one, you kind of need to make it about the same to kind of see the difference. So we're quite zoomed in there. Let's zoom in a bit more there. Bring that down a bit. And you can start to see there's just a bit more detail just in this second shot. And the more you start to kind of zoom in, so if we go right into that, you kind of start to see that in the not low res, it's the 25 megapixel version, but in the standard camera shot, now we've got quite a lot of artifacts and it's quite sort of mushy. And then in the high res one, still got a little bit of detail retained in there. I mean, considering that we are zoomed in pretty far at this point, so it's got just that little bit more detail in there. And for certain things, it can really add to the image because you just get a lot more kind of detail in there. And you can see by this point, this is just completely blown out and pixelated. Whereas on here, there's still a little bit of kind of detail and outline being retained there. So it's yeah, we've got that kind of high resolution, and we can go around the image and you can see different parts of it, how it kind of affects different parts of the image. So if we go up to the kind of eye area, bring that up a little bit, you can kind of see that we've just got like a bit nicer detail in the high res image. It's a bit more kind of smoothed out, less pixelated around these areas that are quite sort of high contrast between each other. So you can see it's just a bit more smoothed out and a nicer image. But like I say, it's very, very fine detail. When you're zoomed out, you really probably can't tell much of a difference between the two, but when you really get into the image, you start to notice those kind of details and all of the kind of quality between the two. You can just push it that little bit further. And essentially, if you choose handheld or tripod, they've both got the same resolution options. In the handheld one, 16 images are taken to kind of build up the image, and you just want to be really, really steady with the camera. So, you know, you can do it in handheld. These were done in handheld, and obviously it's a subject that could have moved. Luckily, it didn't. It's very still, and that's why I thought I'd try that. And you can get really great images with it. Obviously, for the best results, a tripod works best, but yeah, the handheld sort of option is really good. It's worth kind of noting as well, you know, if you want the these kind of effects where you've got the almost like the freezing of motion, you'll need a tripod to do that. So I mean, the same really as kind of a normal shot. You know, it's very hard to hold a tripod like that to kind of get that sort of gloss of the water or get light trails or anything like that in a shot. So you'll just have to remember, if you want that, you will need the tripod to do it. And for all of these pictures, I shot them in the kind of highest mode there. So the standard images are shot at 576 pixels by 3848, and the high-res versions of that are 11,552 by 7,696. So they are obviously kind of significantly bigger in size. And then in terms of file sizes, again, this is just sort of on my one, the file size does depend across the cameras, and so does the resolution. But on mine, the JPEGs come out, or these JPEGs came out at around just over 11 meg standard size, and around 35.5 for the high resolution shot mode images, and about 40 meg for the standard raw images, and 147-ish for the high resolution shots. So they are large shots, like, don't get me wrong, these are massive. So if you're going to go around and you decide you want to take loads of these, you need quite a lot of image storage to do that. And it's also worth noting as well that you can actually do this to SSD, and I've done some videos about that, so you could kind of check that out. And then if we come back to the camera, you can also see, so when we're in high res shot mode, you can see, up here, you can see the icon for it, and it actually says on there that we're in the handheld setting. If we switch that off, we've just got the box there, the handheld high res box. So you can see that there flashing, and you can see also actually that the image stabilization's turned off there for that as well, which you can actually have it on for the standard handheld. So just make sure you've got that on if you've got a lens that's kind of capable of it, or you can use the internal image stabilization. And also, when you take a shot with it, like I say, the one I took was just a black shot, but when you've taken a shot with it, you can actually see in the camera that it's a high resolution shot there as well. So there'll be two versions. That's the standard shot, that's the high resolution version of it. And you won't be able to use a flash in the high resolution shot mode because for one, it's using the electronic shutter, and also it's building up lots of pictures sort of as it goes, so it's not going to be able to burst multiple flashes and kind of build the image up in that way. It's got to be without a flash. So if you're in a darker environment, you'll need to kind of light the scene beforehand. And that kind of covers it really. Like I said, I didn't want to get too bogged down in the technicals for it because it does vary across the cameras. But you know, if you've got any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you found the video helpful, please give it a like. And if you want to see more Lumix content like this, then please check out the Lumix playlist on this channel, and please subscribe.